Blouses that are back in fashion and will dominate 2026. Want to know which ones? Then come with me. Number 1 is the Halter blouse, also known as the front tie blouse. This blouse brings that glamour of the 70s, but it was a big craze in the 2000s. And as you already know, the 70s as well as the 2000s are back for 2026. This blouse brings that air of a party, of the red carpet. Its main and most striking characteristic, of course, is the neckline area, precisely because this style usually ties here at the back of the neck. Some may have a bolder neckline and others may have a slightly more closed neckline. It will depend on your choice and also the level of comfort you are looking for. I would say that this blouse brings a model of elegant sensuality because it shows just the right amount, values the collarbone area here, but closes at the neck, bringing that touch of sophistication. In 2026, this piece stops being only for parties and gains versions more focused on daily wear. Some, in fact, come with a slightly more structured fabric, bringing a look more geared towards tailoring and a slightly chicer vibe. The key to everything is contrast. Since this blouse brings a more sensual touch, the idea is that for the bottom piece, you choose more casual items. It looks very interesting. For example, with a skirt. A flared skirt will bring that more romantic air, or a pair of jeans. Especially if it's a wide leg jean, it will bring that more relaxed touch, not so focused on the sensual. So, my tip is that you combine this blouse according to the style you want to match. With the sensual style, if you are more romantic, a flared skirt, 50s style, will be perfect. If you are more casual, a pair of jeans. If you like that look more oriented towards the work environment, that more structured thing, you can choose, for example, a pair of tailored trousers and even a blazer along with this blouse. This way, you are always adding that little point of sensual style, but nothing super bold. It's just a little touch, something very light. In relation to fabrics, this is a blouse that we will see in a wide variety of fabrics, ranging from a slightly more structured fabric, like cotton, or even linen, to more malleable fabrics like silk, or even a knit. It will depend a lot on the feel, on what you prefer. Regarding colors, you can choose the color you want. However, in my opinion, shades like a dark, heavy burgundy red look simply marvelous in this type of blouse and highlight that air of sensuality. If you want a more elegant look, I would tell you to choose the wax paper tone, a specific off-white tone, which is that shade more geared towards off-white. This way, you will achieve that more sophisticated effect. If you want a more glamorous touch, you can choose a fabric that has a certain shine or texture. So you can choose satin, silk, and even velvet if you want something a little more differentiated. This is a blouse that requires a bra made for it. For me, the best option in this case are those sticky bras. They even stick, and some of them have a strap that goes over the neck here to bring more structure. You can also choose other types of bras that leave the back free, and then you will have a great variety. Hair is another trick. If you tie it up in a high bun or a ponytail, you will leave your back completely exposed, which will bring an even more sensual touch. If you want to appear a little more discreet, don't feel comfortable leaving your neck and back exposed, you can leave your hair down too. It will look wonderful. In this case, I think it harks back to a more mermaid-like look. Very beautiful too, but not so bold. Since this blouse generally leaves the chest and shoulders very exposed, I would say that it is not the best choice if your work environment is, for example, a little more restricted. But if not, then there is no problem at all. If you have a larger, heavier bust, look for versions with firmer fabric. Don't put on that blouse with super soft knit fabric, because what will happen is that your bust will be loose there. It won't be comfortable. You won't feel good. And if you have a very large, very heavy bust, another option can also be those adhesive tapes. You know those tapes that you find with great ease in clothing stores today? You can tie this type of tape on your bust however you want, so you can use this type of blouse with great ease. Remember, always choose for your comfort. It is no use being beautiful, marvelous, but being super uncomfortable. Number 2 are asymmetrical blouses, especially those that come with one shoulder only. This type of blouse was a big hit. It is very inspired by the minimalism of the 90s, but it brings that boldness of the supermodels of the 80s. And it is clear that this trend was going to come back precisely because of all those decades that returned to fashion. Here, we will have mainly the asymmetrical one-shoulder blouse, but you can also choose that asymmetrical blouse only on the bottom part. This blouse brings that kind of bold, modern, yet subtle look. The cut It brings that differentiated touch, that more statement touch, at the same time that the styling is often a relatively simple styling. It even plays with proportion, and the exposed skin brings that sensual touch, yet modern, artistic, sophisticated, very elevated, very elegant. This type of blouse also conveys that touch of Greek goddess. So, if you like this more ethereal, more magical aesthetic, looking like a real goddess, looking like an angel, I would say it's a perfect trend for you. In 2026, I would say that you will find a very large variety of this type of asymmetrical blouse. We will have all types of fabric, ranging from a very thin knit for warmer days, to even pieces that come in wool, in leather, and even in corduroy. That is a very large variety. It is clear that those models that bring a little more transparency will be very in style, precisely because transparency, softness, and more fluid fabrics are that great choice within the 2026 trends. Regarding colors, I would say that you can feel free to choose the color you want, but some colors never go out of style. And since we are talking about an asymmetrical piece here, I would say that the best choice are slightly more timeless tones. This way, you don't lose this piece so easily. Shades that evoke a lot of elegance, such as black, graphite, gray, burgundy wine, are simply marvelous shades. That very dark navy blue also looks very beautiful, and those jewel tones also look marvelous. So, emerald green, sapphire green, ruby red are beautiful shades. These darker shades look great in this type of blouse. If you are a woman who likes lighter tones, you can, yes, choose white, for example. It looks very beautiful. Off-white will bring that touch of elegance to this blouse, which looks marvelous. As I mentioned before, if you want to search for off-white pieces, you can also search for wax paper, which is one of the colors of 2026. Now, regarding accessories, I would say that a necklace is not highly recommended, it is not mandatory, you will wear it according to your preference, but a good earring is essential. You can even wear just one earring, especially if it is on the side where your shoulder is exposed. Guys, this trick is simply incredible. It will make this blouse much more interesting, your whole look very interesting. Remembering that this issue of asymmetrical earrings is also very much in fashion for 2026. Once again, we have that question of how to wear this blouse, right? With which bra? I would say that strapless bandeau bra is the best. Or, those adhesive bras will also solve your problem. If you are a woman with a large bust, again, the tip is to use that bra that is an adhesive tape, and preferably choose more structured fabrics. This way, you will get a piece there that will bring you more comfort. Avoid very long necklaces or excessive accessories, many rings, because that clashes a lot with the vibe of this look. We are already talking about an asymmetrical blouse. It already draws attention to the upper part. So I would say that, in this case, less is more. Just one large earring will make all the difference and will make you marvelous. Number 3 are ruffle blouses. Ruffles are back, and they are not only present on the front of the blouse, they are appearing on the sleeves. Here, we have a lot of volume. We bring that romantic, gothic, maximalist, and elegant touch, but with that little look of the 70s, a look thus more geared towards boho chic. In fact, these ruffle blouses that are more transparent, that are more fluid, are the true hit of the moment. I think it is difficult for you to enter a store that is bigger, a Zara, for example, and not find a blouse like this. Quite the opposite. You will find it with great ease, in abundance. I would say that this is a blouse that brings romanticism, brings a femininity, but with that little touch of rebellion. In fact, when I was at the mall, walking there with my husband, he saw one of these blouses. He said, "Wow, this blouse is very beautiful. I think it would look incredible on you." So you see that sometimes it is that blouse that we say, "Wow, ruffles, will I look beautiful?" When in fact, even men like this style. So why not use it there? Test it, especially if you want to please your boyfriend, your husband. Ask him, see if he likes it. And it is clear that this is a blouse that you can combine with other elements that bring that little look of the 70s. So you can combine it, for example, with flared jeans, which are those jeans that have the bottom part a little larger, very similar to bell bottoms. It combines very well. Jeans, in fact, with this blouse, look very interesting, regardless of the model. If you want a more elegant, more sophisticated touch, then I would tell you to go for a straighter, darker pair of jeans, because this way, you will also achieve this more elevated touch. Of course, You can also combine it with a tailoring piece. It will create an interesting contrast. A leather piece will also look good. So, a pair of leather pants will bring that more rebellious look of the 70s. I think it looks simply incredible, especially for slightly colder days. I think it combines very well. If you want something bolder, you can go towards the miniskirt. I think it also brings that vibe of the 60s, 70s, and that miniskirt there, depending on the material, will also work within this aesthetic of boho chic. Regarding colors and fabrics, this is a blouse that calls for a slightly more fluid, slightly softer fabric. That does not mean that you cannot use a slightly stiffer, slightly more structured fabric, but I would say that fabrics like silk, organza, something very soft and malleable, will work better. But this soft and malleable cannot be flimsy, so I would tell you not to buy anything that is knit, especially if it is that knit that looks very cheap, you know? That knit that gets floppy because it will not flatter. Here, our focus is on quality. Regarding colors, the classic off-white looks very beautiful, as does black, but recently I have been seeing pieces that come in brown, a rich brown, that beautiful tile brown, beautiful, 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 beautiful green. Here, you can opt for an olive green if you have warmer skin, or a pistachio green if your skin is colder. Guys, it looks incredible. You can also choose a slightly more sober tone there if you don't want that very colorful look. So, for example, a charcoal tone, which is a black, almost black, it is there close to gray. Gunmetal gray also looks very beautiful. And these fabrics, girls, they generally have a slight sheen. So if you are that beauty that is flattered by shine, it will work for you. If you are a softer beauty, as is my case, which looks better with slightly more opaque pieces, it also works. Because here we are talking about a soft shine, nothing very bold. In fact, avoid mixing too many things. If you already have a blouse there with many ruffles, with a lot of information, don't put more shine on top, more sequins. It will look exaggerated. To avoid that wedding cake effect, you know? That exaggerated effect, keep the ruffles only on that piece. If the blouse has ruffles, don't put ruffles on the skirt. No very voluminous pants. You know that gigantic, super structured and voluminous pants? Avoid it. It will look exaggerated. If you have that inverted triangle body, that is, your shoulders are wider, your shoulders draw attention. Do not use ruffles in this area. Leave the ruffles for the hem of the blouse and also for the cuffs, because here, the ruffle will be our friend. It will be our ally. So it has to be exactly in the areas where we want to draw attention. Avoid putting ruffles where you do not want to draw attention. Following this simple trick, you will rock this blouse, which is one of the big hits of the moment. And tell me, do you like a slightly tighter, slightly looser blouse? I want to know your opinion. You already know. Your opinion influences the other subscribers here on the channel. I love seeing you exchange tips in the comments. So, leave it here in the comments. I will love to read it. And of course, you help me a lot when you put those magic words of the day, which today are Blouses Trend 2026. By putting these simple little words, you help me continue bringing videos here every day. So I count on your help a lot. While you comment, we will continue with the video. Number 4. Back in fashion with everything is the boat neck blouse. It brings that chic look, right? Very French. Timeless. I love this blouse. I think it's beautiful, super elegant, classic. It brings that very classic and traditional reference. It also makes a lot of reference to nautical fashion. As you know, nautical fashion is back with everything, and if you like the 50s and 60s decades, know that this boat neck blouse was a big hit and, of course, continues to be a symbol of a feminine and subtle piece. It is extremely elegant. It creates a horizontal line here at the neck, which shows only the beginning of our cleavage here and gives an air of a longer neck. In fact, if your neck is a shorter neck, you need and should try a blouse like this. In 2026, I would say that this type of blouse can come both in more casual versions, so a simple t-shirt that brings this boat neck will already be very interesting, very practical for daily wear, or even in a wool. For example, a cashmere knit, a knitwear piece. This way, you also get a slightly cozier piece for colder days. I think it is a blouse that looks beautiful with high-waisted pants like that, a straight cut, a darker shade on the pants, and a blouse that is beige or off-white. Beautiful, beautiful. You don't need anything else. Tie your hair in a bun. There you go. You look like $1,000,000 without much work. This type of blouse, in my opinion, calls for something a little more sophisticated, more elegant, more discreet. I would say it is a perfect blouse for that woman who likes the traditional, likes the elegant, but who does not want to be stuck in that tailoring, you know? thinks that tailoring is too heavy, that it doesn't work for her. If that's your case, this blouse is wonderful for you. In relation to fabrics, you can choose, for example, even cotton. It will work very well. Be careful with this blouse in relation to the neck area here. This blouse cannot be stuck to the neck. This neckline, it has to come down a little more. If it is too closed at the neck, it will not look good. So, if necessary, take it to a seamstress so that she can open this neckline a little more, making the blouse as it should be made. If it is too stuck to the neck, it will not look good. In fact, regarding colors that will make it very beautiful, I would say that shades like a very light gray, black, navy blue, and even shades of brown like cocoa powder, which is a big hit for 2026, are the best shades. If you want that more French touch or that more nautical style, I would tell you to choose the striped blouses, especially those that include black and white or navy blue, white and red. After all, this combination is very classic and always works, always bringing that French look or that more nautical, elegant touch. If you want to combine a necklace with this blouse, I would say that it should be shorter or medium. Nothing too big, nothing that goes beyond the line of the blouse. Otherwise, it will clash with the shape. If you have narrower shoulders, this neckline will work very well for you because it creates a horizontal line that creates the illusion of slightly wider shoulders. For colder days, I would say that you can invest in a slightly more voluminous blouse. It can even be a wool. And here, what you can do is use a belt. It can even be a thin belt to mark the waist. Guys, it looks very interesting and creates that very subtle and sophisticated off-shoulder look. A warning is that this blouse, because it has this boat neck, it highlights the shoulders and neck. So, if you don't like this area, if you think your shoulders are too big, I would tell you not to use it. The same applies to the bra. Avoid bras with visible straps with this blouse. It completely cuts the elegance. It doesn't work. It doesn't look good, girls. For that, you will use a bra that, for example, you can hide the strap on the side there, or you can opt for those strapless bras that will work very well. Number 5 is the vest. If I had to choose one piece that defines versatility and elegance, I would say it is the vest. The vest comes here as a substitute for a simple t-shirt. It brings that tailoring touch and is back in fashion. In fact, it has already been appearing for some time. The vest has become one of the great blouses of this season. It is inspired by classic tailoring and brings that elegant touch without much effort. In 2026, this piece, which was previously used as a third piece, is now the protagonist. You can wear it buttoned up with nothing underneath, only, of course, with a bra. It looks beautiful combined with a wide leg pant, especially high-waisted. Skirts, especially pleated skirts, look incredible with this type of vest. If it's a midi skirt, then it looks marvelous. I love, in fact, the sets. And in the case of sets, you will get an infinity of sets, from those that bring shorts, skirts, pants. I love this combination. I find it practical and extremely elegant. You can choose a longer vest. This way, you will lengthen the central part of your body, or a slightly shorter vest. It will depend, of course, on your objective. The vest is also among those pieces that I think bring a traditional elegance, just like a medium calf boot ending below the knee, which also conveys that same vibe, and the tailoring itself, which brings that traditional, elegant, and old money look. You can choose a gigantic variety of fabrics, and, of course, that will depend on when you are going to use it. For colder days, wool will work very well. For warmer days, linen and cotton are the best choices. If you are looking for a more differentiated, more statement piece, a leather one will also look super interesting. In fact, I think a vest in a light tone, like white, off-white in leather, looks dazzling. It looks simply incredible. The colors are more geared towards the traditional, so black, brown, off-white. I think these are colors that work very well with this piece. Of course, you can be daring. You can take, for example, a petrol blue. You can choose a cherry red there, a tomato red. It will also work very well. However, then we get a slightly more creative look. So, in this case, only choose a vest in a bolder color if you know you are going to use it, because otherwise it will end up being forgotten in your wardrobe. Another detail is that this piece needs to have a good fit. I get tired of seeing vests that are not well made. A tip, girls: the prettier the piece looks when you put it on the hanger, the uglier this piece will look on the body. Why? Because our body has curves. We don't have to wear something that has no cut, no waist, that is straight. The piece has to look good on your body. This means that, if necessary, take it to the seamstress. Ask her to fix it. I have already seen several vests in stores, including expensive stores, brand stores, that come like this: front part, back part the same, have no shape, leave no space for the bust, for the stomach, Leave no space for anything. It's a straight thing. Then you look at the photo on the internet, look at the photo you took, and say, wow, why doesn't it look good on me? Is it my body? No, it's not your body. It's the fit. It's the way it was sewn, so pay attention to that. In relation to the halter vest, which is appearing a lot within the trends, it is almost certain that it will need adjustment, girls. It is difficult for you to find a vest that is halter and that will fit perfectly on your neck, on your bust. So this is a piece that, if you are going to buy knowing that you will need to take it to the seamstress for her to adjust it. So, guys, small tricks, small things that we do there, that we adjust. And it is a piece that we bought cheap, that has that cheaper look. We take it to the seamstress, and it comes out of there exactly like a runway piece. Follow my tip. Seamstresses are everything good. Number 6 is the crop top. The crop top is not new, but it is back now, with more attitude, with a more adult and structured look. It is clear that it comes from that success of 90s streetwear, but in 2026, it will appear as a key piece for that game of proportions, you know? The cropped top of the moment is not just that little piece of fabric. It is a more thought-out piece and will work very well, especially with high-waisted pieces. The 2026 crop top does not come with that intention of showing a lot of skin. In fact, the idea here is to leave only a subtle strip of skin exposed. So, wearing it with much higher waisted pieces is what will work and is what will be most desired. You can, for example, combine it with tailored trousers. Even those more oversized will look very interesting. High-waisted skirts that come in a midi length look very beautiful and also bring that more elevated touch to the look. The crop top here does not need to be that crop top that looks like a short t-shirt. The idea here is to bring a more elegant, more elevated touch. That's why you can even choose differentiated materials. You can choose, for example, a velvet blouse that has this cropped cut. You do not need to be stuck in that basic t-shirt. In fact, I think this is one of the big ideas for 2026. You choose a blouse that is cropped, but that does not have that look of the 2000s crop top. It is reimagined. It is more elegant. It is more sophisticated. In relation to colors, I would say that this is a blouse that you can choose the color you want, precisely because it is a very practical blouse for daily wear. It is a cool blouse. It will work both in summer and in winter. In winter, of course, you will wear it with another piece underneath, or a coat. But I would say that here you can be quite daring. Generally, they are also pieces of a slightly lower value. It is nothing very bold. If you want a differentiated material, for example, a velvet or a linen, something a little different, I would say that you can even take a crop top that you already have to your seamstress and ask her to make one for you. Then you buy the material and she will make it for you there in the material you want. I think that is an excellent way to enter this trend without investing in low-quality pieces, which unfortunately are what we find the most today. When the subject is crop tops, you need to balance the proportions. If the crop top is looser, I would say that the bottom part has to be a little tighter. In this case, slim pants or a pencil skirt will look incredible. If it is more fitted, then the idea is that the bottom part is more voluminous. A wide leg pant, a cigarette pant, a carrot pant will also work very well. I love that trick of the wide and structured belt at the waist, which will ensure a very interesting transition between the cropped top and the skirt or pants. This way, you also enter the trend of statement belts, which, as you know, is a big hit for 2026. Number 7 are the striped blouses, mainly the blouses with thin stripes. Thin stripes, especially horizontal and more delicate ones, are an unquestionable classic. They bring that very a la Chanel look and will also bring that nautical vibe of the 20s. They have become synonymous with elegance, but nothing of that ultra-traditional elegance, a more unpretentious elegance even. So, if you are looking for a more timeless piece, I would say they are the best choice, especially because in 2026 stripes return with a big focus, bringing that very traditional color palette: red, white, black, navy blue, which is perfect for those who love elegance, but also like minimalism. I would say that you can use it with that more chic or prep touch. And you can also think of blouses that also convey this vibe, such as the boat neck, which I mentioned earlier. You can also choose a turtleneck piece that will bring an even more elevated touch, or even a basic t-shirt that will work very well for day-to-day, will go well with jeans. It will be perfect there for your daily chores, where you are not looking for anything too exaggerated. This blouse can come, for example, in knit, in cotton, It can be a blouse made, for example, of linen. It will work very well. Or it can even be a piece there of silk or satin. If you want something more fluid, but I would say that this is a piece that asks for a little more structure. So a slightly more structured, a little more premium fabric will work better. In relation to color combination, you have the traditional black and white or off-white, which always works. It's a classic. It's perfect. You also have the combination with navy blue and white, or else with red, bringing that more nautical touch. A type of combination that is not so common, but I like it a lot, I think it is very beautiful, is the combination of shades of the same color. So, 2 shades of green, 2 shades of brown, or brown and beige, black and gray. It looks very interesting and brings a slightly more modern touch to this look. It is a look, in fact, that you can combine very well with tailored trousers, with jeans, with a skirt. So, it is very versatile. It is an extremely versatile blouse. At the same time that it brings this minimalist touch, it is differentiated. That is, it is a perfect piece there for day to day. The stripes lengthen if they are thinner stripes and vertical. So, you can also choose pieces there that come with vertical stripes. If you opt for very thick stripes, especially if they are horizontal, you may have the effect of looking larger. So, if you are a woman who does not like to have a large body, I would tell you to invest in the thinner stripes and mainly in the vertical. The horizontal model is the most classic, most traditional model, but everything will depend on your taste, on what you are looking for. In fact, if this blouse, for example, is an oversized blouse, a very large blouse, you can tie it at the waist. Look! A little trick. You can also combine this blouse, for example, with a scarf around your neck, especially a scarf that comes in a single color that has no print. This way, you draw attention to the top part and bring that more French touch. And if you are enjoying this video, you need to be a subscriber here on the channel, because here there is a video every day, always talking about fashion, beauty, videos with many images, many tips, so that you have references, so that you can know how to use these pieces. If you like videos like this, you have to subscribe, and, of course, you can activate the bell. This way, YouTube will notify you every day when a new video made for you comes out, and while you subscribe, we will continue with the video. Number 8 are the oversized t-shirts. The oversized t-shirt is that piece that brings comfort. Guys, I love an oversized t-shirt. It's very comfortable. It brings that street style attitude. It has that more grunge origin of the 90s, hip hop too, where it brings that volume. And in those times, this volume was synonymous with attitude, relaxation, tranquility. In 2026, it is not just looser, it is intentionally big, long. Its style seems to have been made as if you had taken a piece from your husband or your boyfriend, but falling perfectly on your body. That is, it's not just taking a big t-shirt. You need to have a t-shirt that was made, that was designed to be oversized. I repeat, I love this type of blouse because it is very comfortable and I am totally a fan of comfort. I would say that for 2026, it looks perfect in the very high-low look. The key is contrast. So, if the top part is loose, the bottom part has to be more feminine. I would say, for example, that a skirt will work very well. Even a pair of leather pants that are more slim will look very interesting. It goes well combined, for example, with boots, especially boots that are more eye-catching. So you can be daring. Put on a boot above the knee there, in my opinion. Something like that very classic of Ariana Grande, oversized blouse, and very high boot. You can also go in a heavier direction, so a very heavy biker boot like that will work quite well. This is a blouse that is not for the elegant look, it is not for the traditional look, it is more geared towards urban casual, because it brings this heavier touch. Speaking of a heavier touch, it needs to be a quality blouse, girls. So, cotton here, I would say it is the best choice. Avoid polyester with all your might. Avoid it. Flee from polyester, especially in these blouses that are big blouses, because it will look like you are wearing a trash bag. Your skin will not be able to breathe. This on a mild day, a hot day, you will suffer too much, and on a cold day, you will be cold. So avoid polyester with all your might, and go in the direction of cotton there, a thicker cotton if it is for a lower temperature, or a finer cotton. If we are talking here, for example, about summer, about spring, A finer cotton is the best option. Tips for you to style this blouse. You can, for example, tie it with a knot. You can tie it with a knot on the front. You can tuck it into the pants or the skirt. This way, you can style it in very practical ways. Another option is for you to choose a belt there that will give it that cinched waist. I really like this type of blouse. In fact, I use it like that a lot. The blouse is big, but I wear it inside the skirt, inside the pants, and then I leave it looser like that, a little more poofy on top. Because it brings a lot of comfort, it is perfect for that day when you want that sloppy look, but without being too sloppy, you know? It gets that little touch between elegant and sloppy. In fact, I think a very cool trick is if you are going to wear a blouse like this, put other elements that will make you not look completely sloppy. So, wearing a maxi necklace, a maxi earring will make all the difference. Since the blouse is a looser, more sloppy blouse, the shoe cannot be. So you combine it, for example, with stilettos, slingbacks. Guys, it looks simply marvelous. Even with a Mary Jane, it looks very interesting. So always combine it with pieces that will not bring that sloppy air, because an oversized blouse with an interesting shoe, with an interesting accessory, a bag, an earring, a necklace, is one thing. This blouse with a basic short, sloppy jeans too, anyway, is a completely different thing. So, depending on what you use to complement this blouse, you will be super fashionista or super sloppy. Be careful. Number 9 is the polka dot blouse. Guys, this print totally brings that vintage charm, but with a pinch of fun, very famous in the 50s, and of course, it was immortalized by the pinups and actresses of the time. Polka dots are timeless. It always brings that light look, that little girl, feminine look, at the same time naughty like that, you know? That energetic person. I think it's incredible. In 2026, it returns bringing that sophisticated touch, but at the same time, cheerful, fun, with varied colors. You will even find it quite a bit within the colorful. The polka dot of the moment comes in medium sizes. It is not so bold. You will find larger models, but generally small or medium. And the key is to mix that femininity of the print with pieces that bring a differentiated look. So you can combine it with pieces that will bring more power or with pieces that will bring a more feminine touch. If you want, you can combine it, for example, with wide leg pants. This will bring more power. If you want something a little more feminine, you can choose a slightly shorter pair of pants, a pantycourt, a capri pant, which will even bring that 50s pinup vibe, which works very well. Another tip is to combine it with heavier pieces. For example, when choosing a jacket, a complement. You can combine it with a blazer, you can combine it with a jacket. A biker leather jacket over it, guys, will add all that very edgy touch. The most fashion look is to combine this piece with other differentiated pieces, even a combination of prints, plaid, for example. This one here is that blouse that will work for day to day. It goes to the common woman. That woman who doesn't want to think too much, who doesn't want to be too bold. What can she do? Combine it with jeans, guys. Combine it with a set. There are a bunch of sets that come with a skirt and a polka dot blouse. Fine, no problem. In the hands of a more fashionista woman, she will want to be daring. So, she will want to combine it with heavier pieces, a leather jacket or a leather skirt to bring that more fashionista touch. So, it depends a lot on who you are, and there's no problem wanting to be basic. No, girls. In fact, on most days, I am basic. Nobody is going to want to put together extraordinary looks to go to the bakery, to go to the market. Right? In relation to colors, we have the classic black and white. It is a classic, not for nothing, it always works. But if you want a more modern suggestion, go for brown, go for burgundy. These shades, in addition to being much more in fashion, they are also beautiful and work very well for most women. They bring that subtle touch of sensuality without being anything more exaggerated. A tip in relation to polka dots. A warning here. In this case, polka dots draw attention. It will be that thing that will draw attention to your look. There is no way around it. So, avoid excesses together with polka dots unless you are a maximalist woman. If you are not a maximalist, do not wear polka dots together with a statement earring, a statement necklace, with a very flashy boot, because it will be exaggerated. If you have never worn a look like that, you will find it strange. You will not feel comfortable. So, for me, the simplest way to wear this polka dot blouse is jeans. A shoe that can be a Mary Jane there. In fact, I recommend it. You know I'm passionate about Mary Jane, so I highly recommend this combination. You can put a scarf around your neck. In fact, some of these blouses already come with a scarf in the same material, in the same print for you to put on your neck. Done. Perfect. Marvelous. And then what you can do is wear simple accessories, small earrings, nothing too exaggerated. Glasses. It can be cat eye glasses. I am already imagining the look here in my mind. So, simple things, because the big focal point of your look will be the polka dot blouse. If you are more daring, then you start adding some other elements. If you don't like the Mary Jane thing, go for the slingback, okay? It is a little more traditional, a little more elegant, a little more womanly. I'm a fan of the Mary Jane, so I always choose it. But there's no problem. You choose what you think is best. And speaking of blouses that will dominate 2026, you need to know which colors are already shortlisted for 2026. Want to know which ones? Just click on this video that is appearing on your screen. New colors, huh? So don't miss it. Just click on the video that is appearing there. I'll wait for you there.